Alright guys, seems like the McLaren Senna is about to have a special event rerun, and I have realized that many of you guys are waiting for it to arrive. So since I have been for a really long time without using my McLaren Senna, and I think it could be interesting to have a look into it, today I will show you some races with this car on the Asphalt Legends Unite new multiplayer system in order to find out how worthy this car truly is in 2024, since as everyone knows, a ton of things have changed. So let's get into it. Right before starting guys, I would like to remind you all that there is a free gift for all of those who can register on the Gameloft Club store, and this time you can get 100 tokens for free, so I think it could be useful for you guys to have a look. This gift will be gone in a day from now, so you can log in on the Gameloft Club with your Gameloft ID and claim the gift straight from the link on the first comment. Good luck! Okay, so I don't know if you guys were around at the time, but the McLaren Senna special event was launched all the way back to September 6, 2019, and also the first Senna special event was the first one to introduce condition requirements to access daily stages. Before, all what you needed was to wait until each stage was available, but then it changed and the rest is history. Back then, the McLaren Senna surprised everyone not for its top speed, but because of its massive handling stat, so high that makes this car unbeatable when compared to any other car in this game. The McLaren Senna handling stats goes well over 100 points, which was theorized to be the maximum a car could have in terms of handling, and things go even crazier when you overclock the Senna, since you will see the handling stat pushing up to the 110 points area, something unrivaled so far. Unluckily, the remaining Senna stats didn't really help to give this car a spot among those kings. The top speed with Nitro barely reaches 375 km per hour, the acceleration is not as competitive as other cars on S-Class, and despite the Nitro efficiency is really solid, it's not something decisive in most of the cases given the maximum top speed this car can reach. The handling, however, makes wonders on twisty tracks where you can pull some wins against faster cars thanks to the godly way this Senna drifts, keeping speeds of around 330 km per hour in most corners where a drift is required, because let's remember, despite you will see me drifting in some corners, the McLaren Senna can take many of them without the need of drifting at all, just by steering and using perfect nitro, which is great on tracks without extremely sharp corners like Scotland or Norway, tracks that unfortunately pose a threat to this car because of their straight sections that can highly favor top speed oriented cars. All in all, you could say that the McLaren Senna belongs to the category of those cars labeled as troll cars, a category that implies that you can pull wins on classic multiplayer with these cars, but most of the times there is little you can do, especially if you face faster cars like the Bugatti Chiron or the Koenigsegg Jesko, to name the most common ones. Obviously, cars like the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute or the Devil 16 will likely beat you regardless of the track, mostly because of the insanely high top speed these cars have, which sets them at their very own tier at the top of S-Class. Just to name a few more details, this McLaren Senna has crystal doors, which allows you to see the legs of the driver if you look from any of the sides, and it's one of the few S-Class cars that you can customize with a wide variety of body kits for the spoiler, the rims and much more, and as the cherry on top, it has several decals which I don't have the luck to own. Basically, I own 3 decals out of the 4 you can use on this car, so I'm just waiting for the last one to show up again in the shop so I can finally complete the collection, you know. But after knowing all of this, is the McLaren Senna a worthy car to go for? Well, you see, in a season where we have got jewels like the Singer 21C, which is an extremely overrun car with a massive acceleration but as the main flaw a really bad drifting speed loss, and then the Mercedes-Benz 111, which, well, is not bad or anything like that, but I already made a video talking about it, so as you guys could see, it's not a king despite it feels like one, and it was nerfed right before being released, so it's not that worth to go for many of you, and being honest, I completely understand that. But anyways, the thing is that with such cars on this season, the McLaren Senna might be quite tempting to go for, given the past it had and how tricky it was to unlock, but still I would recommend you guys to not to go for this car unless you aren't planning to go for the Black Friday season bars of speed. Only in that case, and if you have 40 to 45,000 tokens that this McLaren Senna will require in order to be maxed out, then I guess you can go for it. Otherwise, and if your goal is to go for any of the cars featured within these next bars of speed, which is coming in less than 1 month, I would strongly recommend you to not to go for this McLaren Senna, despite this might be one of those rare occasions where a car like this one appears again, because in general you can get way better stuff if you focus on saving up for the bars of speed, honestly. But there might be some of you guys watching this video that don't have the around 60 to 60,000 tokens that it takes to max a Parts of Speed pack. For all of you, I would still recommend to keep saving up because yeah, you might have to skip the next Parts of Speed, but still in the future the tokens you save up now might help you out when unlocking a better car than this McLaren Senna is. At the end, the McLaren Senna is a crazily OP car in terms of handling, but from the overall perspective, it's a troll car, nothing close to a king. Because yeah, sure, you might have some fun with it on multiplayer, and sure, the fun and entertainment shall be our main goal while playing this game, since obtaining all the cars is completely impossible, but come on, it's always better to look up into the future and decide if it's really worth to dump all the tokens that might be used for something useful by then in something like this. Either way, and as you guys know, the final decision belongs to you, and I just feel like giving my thoughts about this car before it appears again. Being completely honest, and as you can see on most of these races, in the current multiplayer system that Asphalt Legends Unite has, it's fairly hard to win a race with this McLaren Senna, even at Gold Max, because of the matchmaking system, which will likely pair you with cars that have better top speed for the rank they offer. And I mean, there is nothing wrong with them, since the McLaren Senna has a massive handling for the rank it has, but yeah, it's not like you will be on an equal ground if you choose to try out this British boy on any of the current multiplayer seasons, since at the end you will have to rely more on the skills gap you have with all the other rivals, and of course if the race is at a twisty or straight track. But now it's your turn, guys. What do you think about this car? Are you still locking in maxing out this handling monster? Make sure to let me know in the comment section, drop your massive like, and as usual, subscribe in order to not to miss absolutely anything about Asphalt Legends Unite. I will see you really soon, as usual, with much more content. Goodbye, guys.
Crack it.